Today we're learning about the 7 predators that ate humans and which of them I could probably beat up. I don't know, I feel like early man was a bunch of 5'4" goobers in like lion claws. I don't know, let's get into it. Leave a like, subscribe to Goji Center, and let's go see what's going on.
Today, we wind back the clock tens of thousands of years where humans were less predator and more prey. Our ancestors had it rough, and there were a lot of things that they had very good reason to be afraid of. On this episode of Goji Center, we find out who cut some branches short on the human family tree, with 7 of the deadliest ancient predators that kept the human population in check. Showcasing 7 simulations of each kill, some backed up by the fossil record itself and present-day evidence. In the modern world, it's quite evident that humans are the indisputable masters of the planet. Even apex predators like lions would steer clear once they got a whiff of Homo sapien. Don't think we are the apex species? You answer this question. Yes, you are sitting on a couch or bed, or car seat, whatever, comfortable watching this video. Bet the last thing you're worried about right now is getting ambushed by a big cat or getting crept up by a bunch of wild dogs. See? Evidently, the human race has established itself head and shoulders above the other animals thanks to technological breakthroughs, weaponry, population, and the nefarious effects of our own ecological footprint. So much that most other big animals know not to mess with humans.
This is actually why the world's in shambles these days. The slow and stupid people are no longer getting eaten by animals anymore, and now they're just free to breed freely, and now we're in a mess.
Most of the time. However, things were not always like this. Back when we were a lot fewer and a lot less armed, the playing field was more even, and the odds got tilted in the other direction sometimes.
You know what? Actually, some of the best people I know are pretty slow, and some of the worst people I know are fast and muscular, so I don't know, maybe the world's healing. Everything I just said was stupid.
And one of the most unexpected threats was encountered in one of the last places ancient humans ever reached. When the first Aboriginal explorers arrived on the southern continent of Australia, they were arriving on the last continents where reptiles like land crocodiles and giant cousins of Komodo dragons still presided over the ecosystem. But the most common and deadly apex predator to find these first Australians has one of the most innocuous-looking relatives surviving today. Thylacoleo carnifex, the executioner pouched lion, is related to, of all things, this.
We just learned about this thing for like 15 minutes the other day. I feel so freaking equipped for this conversation.
Seriously, show some respect to these fellas the next time you see them. They used to eat us. Far more common than the giant reptiles of its native continent, and sporting bladed teeth shaped like bolt cutters backed by a chomping force of 700 newtons, this killer koala could have been living in the same places these early settlers were. Cave art tens of thousands of years old depicting a hunter breaking their spear trying to fend off this murderous marsupial makes it very clear this was a species to be feared and absolutely caused fatalities. With 4 to 6 inch long thumb claws that left marks in stone and good adaptations for climbing, Thylacoleo might well have dropped down from the trees onto unsuspecting victims. We can already sense the sweat running down ARK players' foreheads. That's right, one of the most diabolical methods of getting murked in this game, and the cause of many near cardiac arrest instances in ARK Survival Evolved, is getting killed by the Thylo.
Those animals will forever remind me of Syntac, because it's like his favorite animal ever. It's gotta be like that beautiful type of blue, you know what I mean?
This game actually did a decent job in portraying how this feels like, emotionally at least. Think you have it bad? Tell that to your ancestors, who had to deal with the physical damage as well.
Dude, my ancestors got to fight giant animals. That sounds sweet. I gotta pay taxes. I'd way rather fight animals, man.
An unsuspecting human would get seized by the neck with the spinal cord either being snapped in between its atypical teeth, or those giant thumb claws would be put to use eviscerating and disemboweling a target soon after they hit the ground.
I'd be fine.
The Americas were some of the last places any human stepped foot in, and for some, it might have been their last. There was a nasty surprise awaiting them when the first explorers reached the Americas over 25,000 years ago. One of the largest apex predators North America had seen since T-Rex, and it had a big appetite. A fossil site studied in 2011 suggested that Paleo-Indian hunters stored some of their kills underwater to hide the smell of their food from this predator.
That's genius!
The Arctodus, the apex of apex predators in Ice Age North America, was everything terrifying about a grizzly bear and then multiplied. Some record-shattering individuals could weigh over a ton and be as tall as to look into a 2-story window. Like
That'd be
modern grizzlies,
insane.
these spectacled bears on steroids were what is called hypocarnivores, meaning they ate a lot of plants as well. This is the opposite of a hypercarnivore that is almost exclusively carnivorous. This might initially sound better, but there are two big snags to trying to coexist with such a thing. This means that even just trying to harvest berries and other wild crops in season carries the risk of a big bear going for the exact same food sources it will not be happy to share. A kleptoparasite, put simply, is an animal that steals food or resources from another animal. Arctodus was already used to bullying away and ambushing other predators to take over their kills. And with a sense of smell multiple times more keen than a bloodhound, you can make one guess as to which way it's going to start running after a Paleo-Indian hunting party makes a kill.
In like Yosemite, Northern California, you have to put your food in like lock boxes. I guess anywhere where there's bears, that's just where I go. And the bears still, you could like have your food so secured, scent free, and they'll still rip the metal boxes open. You wake up to like metal claw marks just tearing the boxes open. So I couldn't imagine back in these days when most of their food, I imagine, was like rotten flesh. Like they didn't have refrigerators and they weren't salting meat yet or anything. So their food probably stank like hell. I couldn't imagine the atrocities, bro.
Now, imagine trying to sleep at night after a successful bison hunt, knowing a 1-ton bear is closing in without any walls to keep it out. Getting rushed and mauled by an irate bear is anything but subtle. A victim would be charged and knocked to the ground after a smack by the almost foot-wide paws tipped with 5-inch long claws. The impact alone guaranteed to break bones, but not kill every time. Bears rarely bite the throat like other predators. Instead, the victim is repeatedly stomped, clawed, and chomped across the body and chest. Softer tissues like the nose and ears might be torn off as the skin is flayed. A mercy would be if it decided to use the full force of its jaws to pop a human skull like a grape.
I was watching some video on like bear attacks also, apparently because they're top of the food chain. They don't have to rush kill their food like other things do, so they'll just put a paw on you and just like peel your back skin off like a freaking piece of salmon because they have no reason to kill you. They just get to take their time. Just the worst.
Dogs are man's best friend. Tell that to one of your Eurasian ancestors, and they'd think you're an idiot. Back in the old world, things were not always the way things are today. We aren't talking about the dire wolves or North American gray wolves that did and still do largely avoid humans. The Eurasian gray wolves weren't any larger than their New World counterparts.
I can take that. I can take that animal.
Make them any less dangerous. Quite the opposite. Having hundreds of thousands of years to familiarize themselves with early species of humans like Homo erectus and Neanderthals, gray wolves hunted down a niche humans fit into perfectly. Whether alone or in a pack, canines dispatch targets in a grisly manner. Targeting softer areas, wolves bite down, thrash, and twist after sinking their teeth in. Bites to the areas with a lot of arteries like the joints and groin, and the blood vessels snapped and shredded. And chomps to the belly might involve disembowelment. Ever hear
I don't
the
know,
saying,
man. I don't
you
know.
are what you eat? Scientists can look at the teeth and bones to determine what certain animals we're eating. So, for instance, if a prey animal eats certain types of plants, their remains have unique chemical signatures. So, the predators that eat these prey animals will have similar signatures to their prey because they take on the chemicals from the animals they consume.
Oh.
One certain collection of animal bones, found along with their suspected hunter in South Africa, was initially seen as strong evidence of a natural predator of humans. Dinofelis, the terrible cat, was found associated with the human bones, and it was assumed this species of saber-tooth might well have been a natural predator for us.
This
But
one would've got me.
There were many different types of saber-toothed slashers alive at the time, and isotopic evidence from the year 2000 later showed they got the wrong cat. This wasn't what was eating some of the humans. This was Meganterion.
Oh.
These teeth, over 4 inches long, would have been put to use to stab open the throats of big hooved animals after the prey was grabbed and slashed with the retractable 3-inch long hooked talons. But these cats were nothing but creative and adaptable when encountering humans. Holes punched into the skulls of prey animals, rival cats, and one ancient human from a fossil site in Europe show that sinking the big tooth into the brain case would get the job done quickly and
That famous teeth in the skull one is what a glory shot, bro. I mean, it's upsetting, but man, what a shot. Magnificent.
effectively. Despite being a gnarly spectacle, the human victim would at least only endure a swift moment of pain.
Well, that's good.
Water is essential to life, but today taking a sip from the riverside comes with a side of irony, given that in this source of life, death can also spring forth. Lurking under the surface are ambush predators that could wait for weeks between meals. As a 2010 study confirmed, hooved antelope to other predators like lions were on the menu. But also, numerous fossil teeth marks and crushed bones show that humans were not absent in this list. From the modern Nile crocodile, Crocodilus niloticus, to multiple prehistoric cousins, like the horned Crocodilus anthropophagus, whose species name even means man-eater, to the largest true crocodile ever, the nearly 30-foot Goliath that was the largest true crocodile to ever live, Crocodilus thorbjarnarsoni.
I'm stupid. I thought the Prehistoric was the biggest one. Also, I watched some dude get eaten by a croc like last month. It still happens. Crazy.
Bite marks on the legs and feet show these were the most targeted areas, meaning the unfortunate victim was probably grabbed in either drinking or getting water from the riverside. With a bite force measured in the thousands of newtons, over 62 teeth in their maws, bone can be shattered and muscles shredded with every bite. Modern Nile crocs are even known to work cooperatively to a degree, with multiple crocs grabbing onto different limbs and individually death rolling to draw and quarter the unfortunate target.
I legitimately don't think that's working. I think they're just fighting over food, basically. I don't think there's any coordination there.
A gigantic thorbjarnarsoni might have been big enough to just engulf a whole human and pulverize them in a single bite, or swallow them whole. Crocodilian digestive acids are known to not even leave bone, and thus zero evidence. Who knows how many countless humans were snuffed from existence in the bellies of these beasts?
Not enough.
Heading north, numerous caves and preserved dens across Eurasia often showed the same repeated patterns over and over again. Piles of pulverized human and animal bones with gnaw marks all over them.
What the hell?
Homo sapiens and our brawnier Neanderthal cousins, young and old alike, torn apart alongside big game like elk and bison.
You know, it's a crazy concept. I'll bet back in those days, even those early Homo erectus, all that jazz, I wonder if there was like serial killers back then. Cavemen serial killers who were just very sneaky, but I guess back then you didn't have to be sneaky. I'll bet serial killing goes back a lot farther than we think.
Telltale indents of fang marks punched right into the bone show the culprit to be cave hyenas.
Oh my god.
Present-day spotted hyenas might be an enigmatic sight in the African Serengeti, but the species once ranged far and wide across Eurasia. Led by a matriarch, a group of hyenas called a clan hunt in groups that can be a few to a few dozen individuals.
Looks like a little Danny DeVito monster.
Prey is swarmed all at once from multiple angles, and unlike wolves, these spotted predators are not picky about where they bite, and often chomped right into the bone. With a chomping force of 900 newtons on their huge slicing molars, limb bones might be broken and fingers or toes amputated with just a few bites if the prey isn't disemboweled alive. In the words of Dr. Grant, you are alive when they start to eat you.
I've seen hyenas eat carcasses. They usually go for the butt first because it's like easy access to like the insides. This guy died on his belly. I would not get eaten by hyenas with my butt in the air, bro. Absolutely not. Look,
next,
I guess flipping over is a much better option than we. Oh my god, what do you do?
That has been preying on apes for millions of years. In the depths of a South African cave, scientists uncovered the remains of almost 100 human specimens across multiple species. Many showing signs of broken skulls were once thought to be evidence of ancient warfare between prehistoric humans. Some scientists even speculated warfare was what drove human evolution. Our bipedal stance to better wield weapons and a sharp mind to put sharp tools to work against each other. Called the killer ape hypothesis, this discarded theory, ironically enough, would wind up killing itself when these supposed murder victims turned out to be covered in teeth marks from a creature they were probably terrified of. This wasn't a trophy room with victims of war. It was a dining table of something's leftovers. Unlike the rest of the predators on this list, which largely just targeted humans on occasion, the killer here was arguably the closest things humans have ever had to a natural predator: leopards. Despite being one of the smallest panthers, leopards have been primate predators for millions of years. So much that pressure from their predation might have helped motivate apes to have better cooperative skills to survive.
I don't mean to be that guy, but I could throw a leopard. They're not that big.
After all, some of the earliest human fossils from over 6 million years back show clear signs of getting ganked by these spotted stealth hunters. So, why is it that the leopard, of all things, posed such a huge threat? 100 to 200 pound cat with a bite force of only 600 newtons across the jaw doesn't seem much compared to other predators. The answer is actually quite simple. Leopards like to eat two things: deer-sized prey, and primates. And we just so happen to be deer-sized primates, the worst kind of Venn diagram.
That's
An
so
isotropic
silly.
study further proved that leopards were actually the culprits behind a lot of primate and human killings. So, how would these kill? Let's find out. Victims are usually tackled from an ambush, and it's full-scale attack from all angles, with the claws slashing open the groin, belly, or arms as bites are aimed at the face. Quick kills have their throats torn out. Other attacks might involve splitting the skull and biting right into the brain case. Two fangs would be more than double the bite force, and plenty of fossils show them getting creative with that bite. Conflicts with leopards still happen today, often from human encroachment into panther habitat. But count your blessings that today most big cats avoid humans. Some of your ancestors thousands of years ago had a very good reason to be afraid of nightfall.
I was gonna say, I've seen so many videos of those things attacking people in India, and they just ball up, but I don't think they ever die. I don't think.
The possibility of never waking up again. Next time you wake up and start whining about having to get up early at 6 a.m. for work or early class, be happy that the problem of the day isn't getting eaten by a giant cat.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's obviously sounds stupid and probably privileged to say that that does sound kind of exciting. A big cat, I don't know, because they're mostly going to go for other people. I feel like I'm like, I'd be safe, you know what I mean? I'm going to go for an old person or a kid or something. I'd be relatively fine. Early man didn't have to pay taxes, but I guess they didn't have toilet paper, common, like, amenities. They didn't have refrigerators and stuff like that either. It's probably way better nowadays, but I do wish there was still, like, an animal or two out there that we did have to worry about a little bit. We need humbling, bro. I don't know. This is all tough talk as long as an animal's not chewing on me. Either way, leave a like on the video, subscribe for more, subscribe to Goji Center for more awesome animal facts, and I'll see you next time.